Hello, everyone. Welcome to the virtual webinar on Actionable Intelligence as a Service. My name is Ajaja Amir, and I'm a part of the brand communications team here at PLC Group, and I will be your host for today. I'm super excited to be here. I hope you all are as well. So to start off the webinar, I will discuss quickly the guidelines and the agenda to keep in mind. Then we'll go ahead and introduce the panelists, and then we will also introduce the moderator for the panel discussion today. So first, I'll quickly go over the guidelines to keep in mind for the webinar. So today's session is recorded and will be available for viewing after the webinar. If you have any questions for the panelists, please click the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and enter your question. We'll be sure to address this question during the session. We'll also give some of you a chance to ask your question live during the webinar. To do this, please click on the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll ask you to unmute, and you can go ahead and ask your question live. We have designated time slots for Q&A session during the webinar. If you have any technical questions that may come up during the webinar, please reach out to Shakti Sundar. He's the technical coordinator here, and he'll be sure to help you out. We also have some polls scheduled during the webinar, so I encourage all of the attendees to participate. And lastly, please do fill out the post-webinar survey that will be made available to you in the chat towards the end of the webinar, and it will also be sent out to you after the webinar. So also quickly, please take a look at the agenda presented on the screen at the moment. Just a quick, brief overview of how the webinar will be planned out for today. And with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce our panelists. So first we have Mohammed Adeel Israr, the CTO at Ncell AXIATA. Adeel, please go ahead and say a few words.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Adeel, and I think very happy to be the part of this discussion because perhaps this is a very important topic that is becoming a buzzword, or I would say that's becoming a quite a big challenge around the world. So looking forward to hear the experiences from the other people, and at the same time, sharing my own perspective that what is happening and what are we doing particularly with this actionable intelligence ourselves. Thank you very much, Zujaja.
Thank you for that, Adeel. Next, we have Ivan Zhao. He's the managing director and co-founder at AirSys Singapore. Ivan, please go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Ivan Zhao, and coming from AXIATA Singapore. So actually, we are focusing in the M&E part of data center infrastructure in Southeast Asia right now, and we have a manufacturer for cooling equipment. For example, the chillers, the crack system, and all of the solutions for cooling. So right now we are doing quite well in Singapore and most of the countries in Southeast Asia. So it's my great pleasure to be here to work together with PLC and everybody here. So hopefully we can have a very good discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ivan. All right, next we have Khurram Ishfaq, the COO at Telenor. Khurram, please go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Sujaja, and hello, everyone. Khurram Ishfaq, I'm the Chief Operating Officer here, looking after the technology and the business part of of our operations. As Telenor Group, we have operations in Europe and in Far East, and also in the Pakistan, Bangladesh portion. So I'm in the Telenor Pakistan operations. Been with them for almost 16 years now. So as someone said, very interesting topic, very relevant for us, for our operations, and glad to be part of this panel. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Khurram. And last but not the least, we have Dr. Kasser Ahsan, the Director General at the Artificial Intelligence Technology Center. Dr. Kasser, please say a few words as well.
Mute.
It's muted.
There.
I'm Dr. Kaisar. I did electrical engineering from UIT Lahore, where communication was my main area of expertise. Then master's in system engineering with IT applications and PhD in system engineering from Cardiff University, UK. When I did my engineering, electrical engineering, it was all encompassed in electrical engineering. Later on, it became so many different fields like software engineering and telecom and computer engineering, etc. But at that old time in the early 90s, it was all one. So I had experience, knowledge for everything like that. Then I had a 9-year gap between my bachelor's and master's degree. So that gave me a lot of experience to go for a systems engineering degree that combines all. My work in PhD was compact IT-enabled systems for intelligent process monitoring. It was a research where data from sensors was automatically analyzed in a distributed system of microcontrollers to ascertain process health and for fault diagnosis and prognosis. In the industry, I have experience of designing hardware circuits, developing software, including the embedded ones at systems level, artificial intelligence research work, and of course, teaching in the universities. Currently, I'm working as Director General of Artificial Intelligence Technology Center, AI Tech. This center is focused at enabling artificial intelligence for socio-economic benefits by bridging the gap between academia and industry in Pakistan. And I'm happy to be on the panel. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kesser. So thank you to all of our panelists for being here today and sharing their valuable knowledge with us all. To those of you just joining us, welcome. My name is Ajaja Amir, and I'm a part of the brand communications team at PLC Group, and I will be your host for this webinar. Please direct all of your technical questions to Shakti Sundar in the chat. Now I would like to introduce all of you to the moderator for this upcoming panel discussion, Mark Trelevan. Mark, please go ahead and say a couple words about yourself.
All right, thanks so much, Jaja. I'm really excited to be here. Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Trelevan. I've been with PLC Group since about 2016, and I've been in software solutions and enterprise stuff, IT, since, well, 36 years. I was just trying to figure that out across many continents, Toronto, Singapore, Frankfurt, and I'm currently in Bali. Having an amazing time and representing. I'm super excited about this actionable intelligence topic and to be your moderator for tonight. Now I'm going to introduce our Director of Product Development, Sultan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sultan Ahmed. I'm Director of Product Development at PLC Group. I have been working in telecom industry for the last 20 years. Today, our webinar will cover actionable intelligence in the context of telecom and data center facilities. In today's facilities environment, dataset is no longer a problem. Due to large volume of data generated in real time, businesses often struggle when it comes to utilizing that data to their advantages. Actionable intelligence enables decision maker to gain efficiency and make real-time decision to optimize CAPEX and OPEX. It gathers data points from facilities elements, sensors, and other applications that are correlated using artificial intelligence and machine learning to gain strategic advantages. Actionable intelligence as a service is a low-risk subscription model where customer can start immediately and scale at their pace. Today, our panelists will discuss strategies and techniques regarding an organization journey to achieve actionable intelligence. Please feel free to reach out if you have any question. Back over to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Sultan. All right, we're going to kick it off with a quick poll. So if you take a look at your screen, you're going to find the question. What does actionable intelligence mean to you? So we're going to give you a couple of seconds to answer this, and then we're going to discuss the results real time. So please make a choice. Thank you. Just a quick note, this is for the attendees only. I want to click on stuff too. It's all good.
I tried to.
I know, right? Okay, let's start looking at the results. Are they coming in, Shakti?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Really good. I like it. Ties the two words together, 66% intelligence that results in action. I really like that. It's coming from where your data is, turning it into intelligence that results in action. Great. Okay, thank you, everyone. Now, I'm going to direct some questions to the panelists now. My first question is over to you, Adeel. What is the relevance of data analytics and actionable intelligence in modern day telco operations?
Thanks, Mark. I think what is more important is that we need to see how telecom industry as a whole has actually evolved over the years. And one of the most important aspects that we need to see is that 10 to 20 years ago, we were just talking about a basic service where we are providing voice as a service, or perhaps more SMS or some of those circuit switch services. But with the evolution of data, what has happened is that every customer on its own is basically asking a very different set of QoS, a very different set of requirements, which definitely using the normal techniques of the past, we would not be able to cater. At the same time, you see all this data is becoming commoditized, things are going in terms of pricings going down and requirements are going up and up and up. So basically what we see, and in our AXIATA group, we are operating out of 10 countries in Asia. We are using this as a tool to basically determine where exactly our customer is, what exactly the requirement of the customer is, and using those set of data, we are actually allocating the priorities onto the deployment of CAPEX as well as OPEX. So I just give you one simple example that, for suppose, instead of carpet bombing that we used to do 20 years ago, now what we usually do is that we just get into a situation where we know that which area, which cluster, which cell, what our customers are requiring, what kind of services they are using, what kind of QoS needs to be allocated. And this not only results in a better customer experience and satisfaction, but at the same time, it helps us in improving the ARPUs. And not at the same time, the last and the most important thing is that it helps us in controlling the CAPEX and OPEX that should be deployed onto the network. So I think in modern day telecommunication, I would say that if somebody is not using artificial intelligence and data analytics now, obviously it will be very difficult for them to survive in the coming days. Thank you very much.
Right. Oh, wow. Great answer, Adeel. Thank you so much. Great way to kick it off. I'm going to direct my second question over to you, Ivan. From the data center cooling perspective, how can actionable intelligence be more valuable or direct cost savings to the end customer?
Yes, Mark. So generally speaking, I think the actionable intelligence system is going to be very valuable to the data center industry, and especially for the data center cooling type of infrastructure. So as we all know, cooling system is one of the major mechanical part of the whole data center infrastructure. It is a little bit different comparing to the other parts like IT, electrical, and also telecom systems. The cooling system consists of many different types of mechanical products and components, including the compressors, pumps, fans, valves, and all of this type of stuffs. And along the very complex piping and ducting system, the statures of and parameters of the materials like refrigerants, water, and air are always changing. So sometimes it could be a little bit hard to make all of them under the control. As a whole system, all of the components and the above mentioned materials needs to be working all together in the most reasonable way. If anything goes wrong, then there will be a very big impact on the data center availability and also the general power consumption. Due to this complexity, a very good intelligent control system will be really necessary and helpful. So the ideal situation will be collecting as much data as possible from all the cooling and mechanical components and bring all of this type of information and data onto the same page according to the most professional and optimized program, making all of them under the best control. There will be not only alarms, and also there should be the automatic correcting activities, and also the what we call is a predictive maintenance program, all integrated into the control logic. But this is actually not very easy. We understand that currently there are many different types of DCIM system existing in the market. But according to our experience, we can see that in the current data center project, cooling and mechanical system could be always left behind in terms of data collection and the master control platform. Part of the reason is due to the mechanical system could be relatively conventional, not digital or smart enough to be covered by the data collecting system. But we believe the demand is there. If we are looking at the specific product, for example, chiller, crack, and the other cooling system, in most of the time, they could be running quite well individually. But the true fact is, in most of the case, chiller and crack system could be coming from different brands and different factories. So we need them to work together and communicate together in a much better way. I believe the actionable intelligence control system could play a very important role. So if all of the product or components work together in the most optimized uniform or the best way, the energy consumption and energy saving potential could be very big for the major data center project. Thank you, Mark.
Amazing. No, great response, Ivan, and so many thought-provoking topics brought up there. I wish we could unpack some more. That was great. All right, next up, Khurram, we've got you next, okay? What are the challenges that operators face? And what are the strategies that operators have adopted to harness the power of actionable intelligence?
Yep. So, I mean, challenges for the operators, you know, it's a wide world. So, in different parts of the world, you'll have different challenges. But there are some challenges which are, you know, almost universal. So, you know, the declining ARPU, the huge exponential growth in data traffic, the expectations from the customer to have service levels which are, you know, the expectations are increasing, faster internet, less and less airtime, and then decreasing prices. So in those are sort of the commercial challenges that define how we run and operate our networks. So it puts a pressure on the cost levels, it puts a pressure on the selection and choice of technologies, it puts a pressure on the overall opportunity that we need to explore when it comes to efficient operations. Now, added on top, because of the huge footprint that all the telecom operators have across all the countries, you know, all these radio towers and their operations spread out all across the geography, we are getting identified as also one of the polluters of the environment. And with science-based targets, you have commitments from almost all the big telecom operators to reduce the carbon footprint, to reduce the energy footprint. So you have the increasing customer expectations, you have the cost pressure, and you have these commitments that we make to the global community around energy efficiency. So that sort of defines the challenges that we need to resolve. Now, the scale of the challenge and the scale of the data that is all around and the decisions that we need to make very quickly makes it unmanageable for people to do it. I saw a question, someone said, why can't people do it? Because looking at so many variables which follow their own underlying patterns, you need to be able to discover some trends on which you can then lock certain actions, because those actions are not that you take and change minute by minute. Those actions require certain network design parameters, those require certain customer behavior changes, and they take time to execute. So you have to be very, very sure what are those patterns. You have to have high trust on those analysis, and then you have to have very, very clear actions coming out of it, because it's not an academic exercise that you are running and you have analysis for the sake of it. It needs to produce certain economic and customer experience benefits. So that sort of almost makes it, a self descriptive situation, that you need actionable intelligence so that you are able to go back to your networks, go back to how you do the things and execute them. So that's it's extremely relevant and extremely important for us.
Unmute. Thank you so much, Khurram. That was great. Really, I felt the tie between all of the vast amounts of data and then the drive towards something to do about it and looking for. And it's a great lead into my question to you, Dr. Kezar. So how your organization has a mandate to bridge that gap between academia and the industry. How do you see actionable intelligence in this context?
Actually, my organization is working in Pakistan, where there is a very large gap between academia and industry. And this gap is not that big in the Western world developed countries, but still some gap exists everywhere. So my experience in this regard becomes relevant for organizations all over. Actionable intelligence is a new term emerging from industrial business needs and requires some solution for its proper implementation, actually. That means some research work is needed. And that is the point where academia sets in. New tools are required for quick conversion of data into actionable items. Data, is present everywhere. Historically, we are not only generating, but also storing a lot of data. Every organization stores data in its own style, and hence all companies have different formats for data. These formats keep on changing within a company as well, because data storage is always performed with some specific task in mind. These specific purposes are often time limited as well. And there are so many variations cause the data to become obsolete or maybe unusable after some time. Mostly the purpose of storing data at some particular point is lost after a few years. People do not remember why the actual data was stored and its format details. So such problems need to be resolved, and use of academia would be highly beneficial to the industry in this case. Getting useful information from huge unstructured data is a major focus in the world these days, and the term big data is very commonly used. Higher Education Commission in Pakistan, for example, has set up a distributed national center for big data and computing, where several universities are contributing in research. And the output of such research is very useful for industry. Any industry making its data available to the universities at this time will reap the maximum benefits, because the results will directly relate to their data and their businesses. Any company who is not sharing with academia and not coming up with its own solutions, they will get the secondary benefits definitely, but not the primary one. So it's very important that this gap is covered. And the intelligence or the artificial intelligence that we use to get something meaningful out of unstructured data, it depends on number of examples given for its training. So more examples means better training and more reliable, actionable, intelligent results. I would urge industry to come forward and provide its data to academia and reap the benefits. Data there's a concept that it is a business secret, and we should not share the data, and otherwise we will lose our grip on the market. But this aspect need to be reconsidered in this new scenario. You may not share your most recent or very vital data, but still a lot of data can be shared, maybe a little older, not so important, because sharing slightly older data will not hamper your business. And especially when this older data you are yourself not able to use. So I think industry should share their data with academia so that they can come out with some solutions and present it, make the methods that everybody can use and get the benefits. Thank you.
Amazing, a great answer, and so thought-provoking as well. I heard a lot there about data aging, and that if you want to stick to your guns and say this is my IP and my data, you're going to be left behind if you don't start sharing. I really got that. Thank you for that great explanation about the gap. Okay, amazing. Thank you, everybody, so far. So we're going to now give the audience an opportunity to ask your questions live. So please raise your digital hand. I see a couple already. That's great. And we'll unmute you and give you a chance to answer your question. You can also send, if you're a little bit shy, you can send in your questions still by type them into the Q&A box at the bottom. And I see there's been a few in there. There's 4 now. That's great. And if your question isn't answered right now, because we are on a bit of a schedule, Zujaja's she's not yelling in my ear, but I can hear her. And so if it's not answered now, we'll be sure to provide an answer after the webinar, okay? So let's get started. Why don't we open it up? I think, Kirk, you kind of came in with your hand up. Do you want to, let's unmute Kirk. Oh, I think he just muted himself. Kirk, did you want to ask your question? We can spotlight you. If you want to click the unmute button, I think it's available to you now. Another second. Technical difficulties, and we can come back to you too, Kirk. All right, we have Ajay Kumar. Why don't we unmute Ajay? Great. All right, thank you. Ajay, can you click the unmute button or respond to the prompt and ask your question? We'll pin you. Okay, this is gonna work, I can tell. All right, Ajay, I know Saad is right on the heels of you there. Ajay, we can come back to you, or AJ, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm terrible with this stuff. Let's have Saad. Why don't you accept the prompt to unmute and ask your question? Oh, we got somebody.
Am I visible?
Yep, let's pin Saad. And please direct your question to one of the panelists or to anybody. Shakti, you want to pin our question?
Yep.
Thanks. All right, coming in hot. There's lots now. Thank you, everybody. All right, Saad, why don't you just go ahead and ask your question, and we'll get Shakti to pin you up here.
Okay, sure thing. Hi, everybody. How are you? My question is from all of the panelists. Anyone can answer it. Everyone is talking about actionable intelligence. For me, I have this question: is that what are the aspects that it is covering that not all the other services are covering at the moment, and what makes it the next big thing? So if you could answer that, that would be a really great thing. Thank you.
So who'd like to pick that one up?
So you are asking what is the next big thing? Why actionable intelligence? So
Yes.
it's the intelligence basically, because we need some quick decisions, and out of loads of data that we have from different parameter, different sensors, we want a quick thing, and that is an actionable thing. We need intelligence for that. And intelligence needs some processing. So we need not only the statistics of the data, not only the graphs, but something that lead to a quick decision making. So that's where the intelligence part comes in. We need to deal with a lot of data intelligently so that we can come out with some actionable solutions quickly.
Okay,
I
thank
will
you,
add
Dr.
a
Kezar.
couple of
Anybody?
I'll just, sorry, I'll just add one more point to this, Doctor. And I think, Saad, it's a very relevant question. I think the most important thing that we need to understand is that with all this data analytics coming in picture, everybody is trying to drive efficiencies. All right. And artificial intelligence is nothing, but what is happening here is that you need to put, some brain on top of those repetitive tasks that does not require you to play a lot of things with IQ. When we looked at telecommunications or any other industry, I will not talk about this particular thing, you see that 80 to 85% of your decisions does contain some patterns, does have a lot of repetitions in those things. And therefore, what you need to do is you need to actually change your decision in context with those ever-changing demands, requirements, and all of those things. And I think one of the panelists, perhaps Kuram, talked about it in the start, that those parameters and things, obviously you require some brain and time to do those things. In case why it is going to become a big thing, I think declining profits, looking into new business avenues, and looking from a perspective of that, what exactly the requirement of each and every customer is coming up. I think this will become a very, very, very big important thing. Now, the part that you have asked initially, which I think your voice was a little bit chopped, but I would try to answer if I've captured it correctly. The importance and relevance is that we do have those loads and loads of data. But the problem itself is where exactly you're going to put them into a perspective and try taking decisions out of it. Otherwise, it's not about, that all of a sudden we'll get into a different world or we are getting into a metaverse. No, it's all about seeing that where efficiently you can take these decisions. And I think efficiency is the game moving forward, which will result in OPEX saving, which will result in, customer experience enhancement, because then you would be able to, do the instant gratification to the customer demands. And at the same time, you would be able to allocate more time of humans to focus on strategies, to focus on those next big things that needs to come beyond those points. Hope I have been able to answer your question. Thank you.
Awesome. Was there something you wanted to kick into, Sultan?
Adeel already covered that part, but I will just add a couple of things. In particular, the scenario of telcos and where there are a lot of endpoints, data becoming a commodity, and there is a lot more data, that more devices adding more data every day. Now, people who are sitting to manage the operation are there. They are the same. They are there, but devices are getting better and having more intelligence out within them. Now, obviously, it's a natural process, natural evolution to have systems that can tell us that there's something going on in that particular area where you have to look. So to have that kind of efficiency on hand, we need to have a system that can tell us, that can guide us when there is some deviation from trends from the data available, and come up with actionable things on which directly action can be taken, on which a new ticket can be handled, predictive and preventive maintenance can be done without looking into graph and charts and using too much time to analyze the data. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sultan. All right, we've got one more that I'd like to have. Kurum, if you could maybe respond to the one that's in the chat about the challenge in the decline in ARPU.
Yeah, I already typed in my response there, but then I'll just use the opportunity to explain. So this is exactly because we see the ARPUs, the per unit revenues that we get from the customer from the classic voice and data services that is declining. And as I said, in data, the scale is so much that we cannot premium price it. And with voice, with OTT substitution, with people going more and more on social platforms instead of the typical person-to-person calls, so it's in our opinion, we see that this trend is not recoverable. So we cannot turn the clock back and start increasing ARPU by just selling voice and data services. So what we see is that we need to build new use cases. We need to build new business models on top of it. And that's what we are classifying. That strategy is called, we are calling beyond connectivity. Where we are looking at IoT, we are looking at some of the advanced use cases from 5G. We are looking at a lot of private network implementations. We are looking at, the industry 4.0 implementations that are coming for very localized solutions. So these are the kind of use cases that are helping us build on top of the existing infrastructure. But the revenues are not just coming from, the connections, they are coming from the services that get built on top of that. So yes, and that's the, the directions. The operators who won't take that will have a real hard time, will have a big struggle surviving. But I think that's the answer for us to, adapt, rediscover ourselves, redefine, and go into these new business models.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, let's get to our some more questions directly for the panelists. Thank you everybody for submitting your questions, and continue to do so. We'll have another session nearer to the end. And of course, we'll get all your questions answered after the seminar as well. So now, Adeel, I want to ask you one right now. So how do you see the role of data analytics in improving customer satisfaction? And we've really been covering quite a bit of this, but I think there's another question in the chat around customer experience. So in the next 3 to 5 years, what do you see the role of data analytics and actionable intelligence?
I think we have covered it a bit in the start, but let me just try to put a little bit more perspective around that. What we are talking about is, for example, the industry 4.0 that is talking about Internet of Things. Every device, every human being, every machine interface is going to become a client. Now, human has an emotion, human has a brain, human has a way to react, but not machines. They behave either what you have asked them to do, or either you're not doing those. So I think the more important thing that we need to look at it is, and I think you see that Facebook has just renamed themselves to Meta, and they have started talking about metaverse. And I see some of the very crazy, trends going around where people are selling, lands around Manhattan and all those areas, and people are actually buying and spending. I think last week I was reading it out that somebody bought a yacht worth of $650,000 on metaverse. So I think what we need to understand is that we need to first put the correct picture and portray that what is going to happen with the communication industry. So the most important thing that we all have to understand is that we would not be doing the same dumb piping or be a utility provider for connectivity. In fact, you have to go a lot beyond that. So first pillar is always talking about, customer satisfaction indexes. There will be a lot of KQIs where you need to see not only the human beings, but your future customers of, machines and all of those things, that what exactly are the requirements. So now if I just put these things back into what we are doing now and what we need to do, the only thing that we need to ensure now is that we should start gripping around the customer behaviors, the trends, and then basically start using them into actionable, use them as an actionable intelligence, because this is what will help you in taking, instant gratification on customers' demands. It will also help you to pinpoint, direct, and target implementation of your CAPEXs. And at the same time, what you will also be able to do that it will heavily influence the way you will evolve yourself in the future 3 to 5 years. So I think I would see, and I mean, my view is always very vivid in these things that, without having artificial intelligence in play, and you're not putting it into perspective, it will be very difficult for telecom companies to actually evolve into the future generation of connectivity providers. In fact, at AXIATA, we do not call ourselves anymore a telecom operator. We started calling ourselves digital operators, and our job is basically to be part of the lifestyle of the people. So when we are talking about lifestyle, it is basically connecting everything that requires connectivity. and at the same time ensuring that all those demands and all those aspects of satisfaction of the customer, be it a robot, be it a chip, be it a human being, or be it a computer, satisfaction would be the key, because the telecom industry has already been commoditized. You see what is happening in the OTT space as well, that people are really not bothering about that, what kind of services or what privacy or things have to happen. So I would see this becoming one of the very big important pillar. And my concern would always be that it should be one of the most important aspect, because this will drive your strategies as well as your next decisions into the businesses. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Adeel. That was great. Okay, amazing. I'm going to direct my second question to you, Ivan, back to the data center world for a minute. How can actionable intelligence play a critical role in the future of the expansions of these system supporting centers?
Yes. So just now we mentioned about a lot of applications in the data industries, like IoT or metaverse, and a lot more actually. So it is already confirmed that in the data center industry, the demand for IT capacity will be keep increasing dramatically in the future. So I believe a very good actionable intelligence control system will be very helpful for the data center expansion planning. It is related to a topic, or we can say a control or function module called capacity management. So the data center IT capacity is always dynamic from phase to phase, from year to year. With a very good control system, we can collect simultaneous data on the current IT load, and also the working capacity for all of the supporting facilities, including cooling and power as an example. So with this accurate data, the system will be able to, the control system will be able to generate a very practical and predictable trajectory. And this will be very helpful for us to foresee or predict where all of the capacity limit is going to be. According to this information, the data center customer will be getting easier to make up their expansion plan. So again, a very good capacity management function will be based on the data collection from every part of the data center infrastructures, including IT, cooling, power, and then based on this a huge database, making a very good and professional analysis. This is what the actionable intelligence control system can do. Thank you.
No, great answer, Ivan. And I think Sultan raised it too, and you had mentioned before, some of the utility, like parts of the components of the structure inside the data center aren't that noisy. They're not telling us what's going on with them. But if we put the sensors next to them and near them and ask them often and well, that's even more data that wasn't forthcoming prior to these types of systems. So I know that's a really critical piece for PLC and AirSys as well. That's great. Thank you. Okay, great. Khurram, I'm going to ask you another question now. So what are the various business models that you see operators and partners should be considering for actionable intelligence?
Yeah, it's an interesting questions. And, as large corporations, we used to believe in doing everything ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, but given the depth of knowledge and specialization that is required, given the fast changing nature of these technologies, what we have sort of pivoted from doing it ourselves model to going out and finding partners who do these things much better than us. That gives us access to expertise from the market. That gives us cost efficiencies, because then we don't have a unit which is doing X amount of work at a certain part of the year, and then not having enough, because then these business partners are able to serve a lot more of these. So Our our go-to position now with more of these advanced technologies is to find partners who can provide us these services as a service rather than as a captive in-house unit or a team. So that's our model.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I could see how, bridging that, going to speed and getting out of our own silos and allowing people to actually come and help with what they're already doing best. And that's where I think like Sultan and the AI side of things. And then great segue again to Dr. Kezar. My next question for you is, what benefits can a company or industry expect from? What kind of benefits are they going to get when we have this type of intelligence?
Well, company or industry can expect huge benefits. And when I say benefit, I almost always say money, because that is why a business is there. So if a company is getting any sort of benefit, for example, increase in market share, that's more money actually. If it gets more sales, it's money. If it can reduce its operational costs, it's again reduced expenditures and more profit and more money. And actionable intelligence use of it actually gives more money in all of these aspects. I would say that concept of utilization of data for decision making is getting more and more popular, increasingly popular. And now it's time for widespread business decisions to be made based on the scientific analysis of data rather than uninformed heuristics. Recent years have seen advancement in data analysis tools because of availability of high performance computation. Data analysis has gone beyond mere statistics and into the domain of intelligence. Data analysis has become a full science called data science. It is now time to exploit these advancements in order to obtain business benefits and profits. Availability of large raw data enable us to convert it into something useful, something actionable. Applying artificial intelligence on the raw data will present you with the results that are called actionable intelligence. You can make enlightened business decisions based on this and gain advantage over your competitors. You very well know how much advantage a correct business decision can provide and how much damage a bad decision can make. And use of actionable intelligence can provide you this business benefit. Another aspect in business decision making is the timeliness of the decision. A late decision does not fetch as much profits or as much benefits as an early decision. Using computer and using actionable intelligence will give you a chance to make an early decision before your competitors can do that. And you will become a market leader. Others will have no choice other than following you. So it's you can gain more control in the market. So there are such kind of benefits. And it encompasses everything. You can reduce your operational costs. If you are not using the actionable intelligence, then maybe you have the same data, you can see 10, 12, 15 graphs and couple of tables. Then you yourself try to relate what is happening in the market. Instead of that, if a computer can give you, say, 3 options that you can take this decision and it will give you 60% success, or other option is this another decision giving you 30% success. And then you can look at the same data quite quickly because you have something actionable in your mind and what final decision should I make. So this actionable intelligence will give you speed and probably accuracy as well. That will give you more profits. Thank you.
All right, no, excellent answer. Thank you so much, Dr. Kezar. All right, so with that being said, we're going to turn it back over to the attendees. We're going to take some live questions now. So please hit your digital, raise your hand, or we're going to go through the Q&A that's also has been answered or asked. All right, let's give a few people a minute to raise their hands. All right, why don't we start off with Jamie Ward. Maybe we could spotlight him as well.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Jamie.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've got a question for Kurum. In my recent experience working on customized cooling as a service solutions, by the way, my name is Jamie Ward. I'm FD for AXIATA in the UK, and I've been working with PLC actually on a cooling as a service solution for many customers, particularly telco customers. So we've been working with multiple telcos to find customized cooling as a service solutions, and I found that certain departments, particularly the engineering departments, have been somewhat resistant to giving the service provider control over infrastructure in place. This seems to be a bit of a barrier for introduction for some of these as a service platforms. Do you have a view on how the service providers can give more confidence to these resistant departments and engineering teams or procurement teams, so that we can really start to progress with what looks to be the future of procurement for data center infrastructure?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. It's more relates to the challenging the status quo, the organizational structure, and you want to introduce change. There are people who've been doing, who are responsible for these areas for long, and they don't want to give up on that control and the that they have enjoyed or experienced. So the way we are approaching this is more about establishing the value that comes from such partnerships, and also establishing a very clear total cost of ownership comparison between doing ourselves and as compared to doing it with things as a service. And we are seeing more and more that being able to establish that comparison and being able to show this as a value that is coming from such new models, the internal resistance starts going down, because these teams have their own KPIs, which are then not benchmarked in terms of how much they have deployed, but how much are they saving, for example. And then that becomes an incentive for them to go beyond a typical engineering planning approach to more of a financial driven decision making. So yes, it has been a challenge to open up these traditional areas. But for example, for Telenor Pakistan, this year we have signed up a few new contracts with different partners where we've taken hybrid energy solutions as a service. We are not buying those systems ourselves. We have some some agreed guarantees, KPIs with some of the solar solution providers, and they're deploying those on our sites, maintaining it themselves, and we'll be watching those as an interesting concept for us, and we'll scale probably on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamie, for your question. Yeah, thanks. And Kurum, we're just kind of running out of time. I did want to give Peter a quick, I might not pronounce that right, but Peter, a quick chance to ask your question live, and then we can, lowered his hand, but yeah, come off. There you go. Thanks, Peter. Let's ask your question, and if we got a quick answer, great. Otherwise, we'll take it offline.
Mark, Karim, yeah, just to emphasize, to go further on your point as well, I work in project management and telecom in Canada, and one of the biggest problems we face, and I definitely, if you coming from the IoT industry, and you look at the direction IoT is following, and the advantages it can give telecoms as a actionable intelligence. Yes, I definitely agree that the solution can offer a lot of benefits to evolution as such. The one problem that we do have is every time our response teams or control centers look at a site or a breakdown from whether it's a generator HVAC or anything of the sort, there's a lot of factors that goes into the equation before dispatching any site technician. Now, as you know, if those scenarios are not met, then your costs will be running away like you won't believe. Now, the only problem is, and I follow Mark's comment about, yes, installing sensors, but at the end of the day, there's a certain human factor that still needs to be considered, because if your budget at the end of the year doesn't make sense, you are screwed. So yes, I definitely follow the direction where the market is going, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. I just think we are premature in some areas. But yes, definitely, I think all the services that PLC offers, there's a lot to contribute, or there's a lot to gain out of the subject. But I think this will take a lot of resources and investigation before this becomes effective.
And I agree with you, because, you know, this touch-free operations, when it comes to field maintenance, we are not there yet, right? You know, that may be a dream. It may be applied on a data center itself, on the IT infrastructure, but definitely not on the radio sites and locations out there. What can happen is to have better analytics, so that when you are designing, planning your data packs, your backups, you have a better profile of the regions, you have a better profile. And then again, linking your backup planning to the kind of traffic you are carrying, to the kind of customer base you are serving. So the analysis doesn't have to just rely on a single vector about, you know, the power. It can be coupled with various other elements, and that gives you a decision power that, you know, this is an area where you cannot afford to have a certain downtime, and then you beef up or you plan your infrastructure according. And then this is an area where, for example, for certain parts of the day, you do not carry any traffic, or the instance of you know, customers getting heavily impacted is less, and then you can plan those differently. So actionable intelligence, when it comes to planning your infrastructure, when it comes to, you know, planning your resource placement, can help. But I agree with you, not for touch-free operations, sort of a concept. I agree.
My previous role back in South Africa, we used to do smart energy management. And yes, that is one of the places where AI would really benefit the market. But it is also something that hasn't been really investigated to a large degree. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, one thing that will drive a lot of evolution for us.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to interrupt. That's what the moderator does. I want to respect everybody's time and try and end on time. Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Karam, for answering back-to-backs. I just wanted to quickly jump to the last poll, because we'd love to get your opinion after a great conversation. Feel free to drop off if you have to go to another meeting. In what area would you like actionable intelligence to make the biggest difference? Please take a second and click this. And then Shakti, if you can also, let's save time and post in the chat the end poll, and we'll be able to have people multitasking a little bit here. Yep. So please click your answer, and then we'll go over the results super quickly. And then Shakti's also going to post in the chat the link to the poll survey after the whatever it's called, post-webinar survey, and then we'll also be emailing that around to everybody as well. So let's take a look at the results from our great attendees clicking through. Okay, all right. So we've heard this lots. It's really great. Appreciate everybody. 53% are saying OPEX and CAPEX and efficiency. I think all the panelists have touched on this quite often and well. I definitely think the carbon footprint reduction is an excellent place to look, but you had to pick one. So I appreciate everybody's time and attention. And I'm just going to flip it right back to you. Wrapped up my moderator duties. Thank you so much. And we'll take care. Over to you, Sujaja.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Please check out the post-webinar survey link in the chat. Please take a second to quickly, give us your feedback. We would love to know, how your experience went with the webinar. Thank you so much to all of the panelists for being here today, sharing their knowledge. Thank you, Mark, for moderating, Sultan for jumping in, Shakti for all of the technical help, and thank you, everybody, all of the teams that worked on this. And we look forward to seeing you all in our future webinars. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.